So Sonic Prime just gets better and better, doesn't it? With so many franchises looking at the multiverse at the moment, from Marvel to DC to Riverdale and soon Invincible, I feel like Sonic and Sega have actually done it the best to date, as there's real world consequences, variants actually seeing each other, and jaw-dropping cliffhangers. Season 1 was really fun in setting up these new worlds and different takes on the different characters, which allowed Season 2 to just go in there straight away and just bring all of the action. And just seeing all of the different worlds and universes merging together was pretty epic, and it really did feel very catastrophic and very apocalyptic, especially with all of the evil Eggmen / Chaos Council. Speaking of which, loved seeing the OG Eggman at the end almost defeating Sonic and Shadow, but then when Sonic effectively became Super Sonic, but this time the Chaos Prism version of it in order to overpower him, it was just so incredible. And even though it wasn't the biggest shocking twist of all, as you could definitely see it coming, 9 wasn't going to go along with Sonic's plan to bring everybody back and to reset the world effectively into the way that it was. He did pose some interesting questions to Sonic though, like did he even think about consulting him in what he wants actually to happen, and what would happen to him if everything did get reset, and why does he just assume that everyone wants to do exactly what Sonic wants to do? I think the irony is that Sonic always thinks he knows best and actually should have been smarter and wittier about it all, just like Shadow always is. And Shadow did actually tell him this, that look, you can't really and shouldn't really trust 9, and Shadow on that point was just depicted so well here. Still edgy and cocky, but just such a smart head on his shoulders, and is so unstoppable and is so cool. It was literally the perfect depiction of Shadow the Hedgehog today. Similarly to Season 1 and Season 2, I'm sure that when we get Season 3, it will most likely be in about 6 months' time, and I'm happy to wait for that. I feel like Season 2 was just looking so good, so slick, so beautiful, and everything just came together so well. And it was planned to have this series run for 24 episodes, and I wonder if at the end of Season 3, if everything does get resolved, or if, you know, the series is super successful, maybe they'll bring back one character from the multiverse over to the original iconic world and continue it from that thread. Let's see how it goes. But just like with Metal Sonic, I'm sure they will get another beloved character in the next season. Hopefully Silver and Blaze. I mean, maybe in 9's beloved empty Grim world, he can create something there, and maybe it will have a similar-esque storyline to Silver and Blaze from Sonic 06. Sonic was just so excellent in this season as always, even though he doesn't necessarily give himself the time to be strategic and just thinks on his feet and is just really speedy and really quick with everything. It just comes across in terms of thinking the best of everyone, and in every situation just being as positive as he can be. He's just still such a beloved and lovable character and just carries this series and franchise so well. Shadow, like I said before, is just so awesome. He just adds such gravitas to this show, this series, this franchise, and it was so great having him have so much screen time starting and ending the show. And I absolutely loved all of the sequences where they were rivals in the beginning and then begrudgingly having to work together. I just think all of the Sonic Shadow moments were just so good in this series, as they always are in the video games. And on that point, it literally did feel like a lift and shift from the video game series into this series, which was just so good. Amy was great as well. It was really cool to see Rusty Rose back on the good guy side, as she is such a valuable asset. I did think she would double cross them at one point, but it was really cool to see them, you know, being united as a group, especially when you were seeing these two Amy's together on screen and teaming up together. That was really brilliant. And when you almost had 3 Amy's together teaming up on screen, at least they were together on screen for that hilarious moment. Tails was great. I did feel like 9 was the main variant out of all of them, as all of the other ones felt like supporting characters. And speaking of supporting characters, I just feel like Rouge / Rogue was such a supporting character in pretty much all of the universes. They definitely could have given her so much more to do. I guess the rebel rogue leader in New York City could be argued to be the most iconic variant of her suite, but I still don't think she was on the same iconic level as the other main characters. Speaking of which, Knuckles the Dread was absolutely brilliant, a truly untrustworthy pirate type character, and it does kind of go back to the early days of Knuckles when, you know, he was a bit of a knucklehead and wasn't really on Sonic's side and actually was on Eggman's side. And I love that this variant had that evil devilish side to him and was willing to turn on everyone, including on his own crew, to get his hands on the precious shard gem, which just reminded me so so much of the character from Lord of the Rings. And I just loved seeing the two Knuckles on screen in the same way that we saw two Amy's on screen, and really leaning into the whole multiversal aspects of the show. And the Chaos Council was so threatening. I mean, one Eggman is bad enough, and here you've got 5. I mean, you did kind of have one prime Eggman, but they were all pretty deadly in their own way, and were pretty much a thwart at every single step for Sonic and Co, and just captured all of the shard pieces. A lot of their battles did actually feel like the boss level battles that you know and love from the video game series. And I love how they created their own version of Metal Sonic, as well as this time they were calling him aptly Chaos Sonic, and made him even more unstoppable and faster than ever before, and gave him the ability to communicate for the first time ever as well. And he was even more annoying than Sonic, which I thought was a pretty hilarious decision. And his rival battles, similarly to Shadow the Hedgehog, felt very lifted and shifted from the video game series as well, which is a really nice touch. And it just made me think that, you know, Sonic Generations was such a wicked game, especially because of all of the rival battles with Shadow, Silver, and of course Metal Sonic as well. And on that point, the visuals in this series are just so outstanding. I know that it is canon to the video game series, which is why it looks so much like them, but you literally do feel like you are watching a Sonic movie combined with the awesome cutscenes from the game. And I just think the end recipe is just so good. And I love that Sonic never tries to be aimed at kids, as it's such a sophisticated, layered, epic series, and just comes across as such an awesome package. And I just literally loved every single minute of Sonic Prime. So those are all of my thoughts on this wicked series, and I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you thought of this series and what you think could happen next, and who you think could show up next in the next season. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.